So now today we will continue with how to define the objects in Java, and our main other important topic is the access modifiers. Actually, this is the part that you are actually asking me questions about. What is the public, what is it private, and so on. So first we will see this one.
Will you also see like static?
We will see static in the following slides, yes. So what is an access modifier? Well, basically, yeah, we want to control how are the variables and also the functions, methods accessible within our project. So we have basically 4 data access modifiers. We had seen already the private one, which means that that variable or the method is accessible only within that class. And we have also seen public, which means that it is accessible in everywhere. But then what is the other thing? Default and the protected. Well, default means when you don't write anything. It's a default protector. And protected is another one. But these have different accessibility levels. What it means is, let's assume that we have this class A, class B, and class C. But class C is in a different package. Now, what is a package? We didn't see it before, but package, you might think it is like in a big project. Let's say that you have an e-commerce platform, okay? You are trying to implement it. In an e-commerce platform, there are multiple different tasks. Like maybe you have many methods, many classes just for tax regulations, banking operations, the payment ones. And you might probably a very different set of objects just for AI part, like you bought this, probably you might want to buy this. So there's some AI algorithms going on in the system. So you have also this, and these are very different. Like one of them is about payment, the other one is about AI. Maybe you have a huge database that keeps your product, so you have also database operations. So you have those different modules actually, different classes. So you might want just to organize your data. What you can do is you can put all your AI classes in one package, all your payment classes in another package, and so on. So I'm actually grouping those. So this is one of the ways, one of the usage scenarios of packages. So let's say that class A is in another package, and class A and B in the same package. So you might say that these are both, let's say A and B are both related to AI, and C is about payment in our e-commerce platform. And in this class A, we have these 4 variables or maybe the functions. And if one of them is a private, it means that class B cannot access it. Class C cannot also access it. If it is public, it means that from class B we can use it, from class C we can use it. It's from everywhere. If it is protected, now this view is actually a little bit misleading because it seems like default and the protected are same, but actually it's not. What is the difference is, let me first go with the default. In a default case, the classes in the same package, like that access to those default ones, but from the other packages you are not allowed to access it. Again, going back to my story about the AI and the payment. So these are both related to AI, let's say A and B. So probably I might need to direct access to some of the AI related variables here. But from a payment, well, it's not needed. I shouldn't have access to some AI related variables. So it is prohibited if you do this default. What about the protected? Well, in the protected case, we didn't see it yet, an inheritance. We didn't see what an inheritance is. Once we see that, it will make more sense. But in a protected class, from the same package, it is accessible. If they are from a different package, normally they are not accessible. But if class C and class A, class C is I will use a term that we will see it later on, but is a child class of A. If there's an inheritance relationship between A and C, A is the parent class of C, then it can. So there's this kind of a small difference between default and the protected. And I think I've covered those. So this is also important when we come to the inheritance part. I want you to actually just visually at least know this table. It shows that like which one is more accessible and which one is least. This order is important, especially when we come to the inheritance topic. We will see that we can change the accessibility of the functions, but based on some rules. So just to know that public is the most accessible, then protected, then default, and then the private. So this is an important thing that I want you to memorize. Do you have any question about this? Yes, please.
In to make like a program, you usually have a lot of the public classes.
It really depends on your what you are planning to do, but like public is like the classes that you can share with anyone. But for instance, for the payment option, probably you are doing many private operations that you know your customers or anyone you want them to see. So you can make them you can even have private classes. We'll see that later on, but so it really depends on what you are doing. Yes, yes,
Can you
please.
explain again what's a subclass?
What is a subclass? Well, it's actually a bit hard here now to explain it because we didn't see the inheritance topic yet. But in a very short answer, in object-oriented programming, we also build a relationship between classes, and we call them like parent class and the child class. Like as we are as like humans, we have a father and then we are their child, and we have some similarities. We'll say that later on, but a subclass means basically a child class. So the short answer for now is, like if there is any inheritance relationship, then the protected class will provide an accessibility. But we'll see it later on once we start the inheritance. Yes, please.
So I have a question about packages. Can we do nested packages, or it will affect in access?
Can you say it again, please?
Nested packages.
Nested packages. Oh yeah, that's a very good question. Yes, we can do the nested packages. Let me actually show it from the Eclipse. So we can show, here's our project, and here's our I have this default package here that I put all the classes. I'm not able to zoom in, so it's not seen, but what you can do is, if you go to this folder, you can create a package, and I don't know, let's say AI package, for instance. And then within that AI package, then I can create a new class, which means, I don't know, AI models. I'm just now making up some names here, to be honest. But then, yeah, if I have here this public integer, I think I can zoom in here. Yeah, I'm not able to zoom in this part, but I'm able to zoom in here. I have some integer variable here, which is public, and which is, then I can also set int y. I would say it in this way, default variable, just to understand what it is, and maybe public variable. We can have, I won't show the protected yet because we really didn't see the inheritance, so I will talk about it later on. And we can have this private one. So, and then I need one more class here to showcase this properly. I'll add one more part, which is, again, AI model, I don't know, some meaningful name is, let's say KNN model, which is K nearest neighbor, one of the AI models. Anyway, and here then, what I would like to do is, I would like to put here a class, a method actually. Then from this one, now the question is, if I create this AI model, I first created its instance. Then from this instance, now I can set the default variable. I have access to that. I have access to this public, so I can use it. But I don't have for this, if I try to say, I'll just copy paste it because it won't show me, private var. If I try to say x.private var is something, I'll get an error because I don't have an access to that. But now I'm in a different packages, I can access it to both of it. Now what I'll do is I'll copy paste this code actually, and I'll open this task Java. Okay, so this is a different this is a class in a different package. So now I'll copy paste it here, the same code. So what you see here is now public is still available, as you can see. Let me zoom in even more. But this is, I'm getting an error because now I'm in a different package. Now I don't have any more access to this default variable because they're in different packages.
But doctor, if I add a package inside AI, new package inside AI.
Oh yeah, so well again we can just you can add create more packages. You can say deep AI models, whatever it is, and then yeah you can just keep doing this. But they should be, again I'll take this offline. I need to cover that part, but yeah they have to be like basically the default is for the same packages it is accessible or not. All right. Now, for the variables, now we have 3 different variables, which is like the one that you were asking. Will we see statics? Yes, we will see now. So we have 3 different variables: local, instance, and static variables. So what are those? Well, local variables are the variables that we declare within a method or in a code block. So let me show you from an example. I can show it from here actually, or I have this class AI model, and I declare a function here. Say train model, whatever it is, and then in that one I have some variable. Now this become a local variable. What it means is, if I try to attempt to from a different function, like can I have an access to this X? No, it's not. This is local. It means that it is only accessible within this function, and I cannot access it through in other functions. And also it says, I'll go to here again, blocks or the constructor. So what is a block? Well, we didn't see it actually, but in Java, well, you can literally write, like it can be first, yeah, let me first show it. It can be maybe a for loop, okay? I'll just write here the dummy for loop. And then I'll just put the curly brackets to make it crystal clear where the code block ends. And then I'll just try to end this, type this I. Now I is not accessible here, because it is only accessible within the for block of this for loop. But outside this for loop, it's not accessible, because now again it's a local variable, very local variable. And there are some other cases that you might, it's good to keep in the variable, which is they don't have any default value. So if you don't initialize it, that would be a problem. Like I said that, okay, this is X, and I have access to it, but I didn't initialize it, and then I'm just trying to print it. Well, then I'll get an error, because the thing is, it doesn't have any value yet. So I should say something here for this one, whatever it is. Then I won't get an error. But so they don't have any default variable, any default value. Sorry. Any question? Shall I proceed to the instance variables? Yeah, yes, please.
If it was in a main function, the chart is a local variable.
If it is in a main function,
Yeah.
and I define it in main function, yeah, it will be still a local variable, yes.
So it wouldn't have a default value.
No, it doesn't have any default value. Well, the default value has only for the instance variable. So what is an instance variable? Well, it is the variables that we define for a class, to declare a class. So it is the properties, it is the features of a class. So from our code, for instance, for this AI models class, all these are, this public var, default var, private var, are the instance variables. I'd use it to define my AI model. Of course, well, AI models, maybe these variables doesn't make sense to you. Well, if you go to our student class, for instance, we said that, okay, a student should have a name and should have a GPA. So now these are the instance variables that we use to define a class. Yes, please.
So what's an attribute?
What's an attribute? I think I'm using that word interchangeably. Like an attribute of a class means actually a variable that defines that class. Like, what are your attributes? Like, okay, I'm a Turkish male person at this age. These are my attributes to define myself. So like, again, for these variables, they are attributes of that class that I define it. So I will keep probably using this term like attribute interchangeably with the instance variables, field. Sometimes people say that a field of a class. What is a field? Again, this is the field of a class. So attribute, field, feature of a class.
The attributes are information about the object, right?
Yes, that we use to define an object. Like, what is a student? A student has a name. A student has a ID, a GPA, in a department that he is enrolled in, and so on. And another important part is in the local variables that we had also seen here, we don't define, like, I cannot say that in a local variable this will be public. Like, it doesn't make sense because it's only accessible within that method, even not in the class. Or I cannot say that, okay, this will be private also. So in a local variable, we don't have an access modifier because its accessibility is already limited to that function, to that for loop. But in an instant variable, well, we can say that, okay, it will be public, it will be default, protected, private, whatever it is. And again, now I'll go back to this part. An instance variable is created when an object is created. So, and destroyed when the object is destroyed. So what does it mean? Well, especially, I'll just go to back to, I just want to show this meme. If you are dealing with Java, if you learn Java and Python, well, you don't need to worry about the memory management. But if you start programming with C, programming language, then you will see that, okay, memory is a big issue, like, because you always allocate some space from the memory, use it, and then deallocate it, which means like destroy it, so make the free the space for you. So, but if you're a Java person, yeah, you don't really need to worry about it because Java automatically handles that. Like, automatically it allocates memory for you, and it automatically frees that memory for you, so you don't need to worry about it. We can use this heap also as a term in computer science. What is a heap in real life? It's that stack that it's the image that you see. But when we say heap, it might have two meanings actually. First one is about a data structure that I will not use in this class as that part. The other one is as a memory term. So what it means is, it's like a dynamic memory allocation. So when I say that, okay, I want to create a student class, okay, but it's so easy for us to say, but what Java does is automatically it allocates a memory in the heap. A heap is, again, in simple terms, allows us to dynamically allocate memory so that it for your variables, for your data. Okay, so you don't need to worry about any technical detail about the memory. You just you can use this heap. Java handles it from the heap. Anyhow, and well, you will learn it in much more details in other courses now. It's kind of a bit unnecessary for this course. All right, I'll just continue. Let me check if I miss anything. Yeah, instance variables has also a default values. So what it means is, when I try to, let's say that I want to print this public var, okay? Then I won't get any error now because it has a default value. Like, if it is an integer, it is 0. If it is Boolean, it is false. If it is an object, it's null. At least it has some value, so you won't get any error. And also another important part is, these variables are accessible in that class in any place. Like I cannot access this local variable x here because it is defined in another function, but I can access this public var or any other those instance variables in any of these in any places in that class. So they are like a global variable that you can access within that class. I think, yep, I'm done with this. Do you have any question about instance variables?
Instance variable that it's variable can I use it everywhere or
Excuse me?
instance variable that what does instance variable mean?
Instance variable mean?
It's the variable that we use it in our class.
It's the variable that we use to declare, to define our objects. Like, again, what is a student? In my program, a student has a name, a student has a GPA, a student, I don't know, has a list of courses he has passed. So these are the instance, then I will create an instance variables for each of these values that I want to keep.
Okay, integer and float, they are not instant variable, yeah?
They can be. So again, like this public var, or let me give it a more concrete example from the student. So these are all instance variables. These are the variables that belongs to the each instance separately. So each student has a name, a different name. Each student has a GPA, can be different GPA. And they can have a different type. Like this can be string, this can be float, and also they can have different accessibilities. But this is just another dimension to separate the variables. So we can have local variables that are defined in functions or within a for loop, but these are the variables that we define for the classes.
Okay, this variable for the classes.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's take 1 minute break for attendance.